It's September 3rd! Happy Loop Day! Happy Loop Day! It's Loop Day. It's Loop Day. It's Loop Day. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. In this video I'm going to be talking about the book Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. About 3 weeks ago I picked it up in Waterstones. I was just in there looking for just something to read. I was looking for actually other books, and then I saw that one on the table and I didn't really think much of it at first. Like, I had heard of it, I had been seeing the movie posters doing the rounds in the cinemas a few weeks previously, and of course my eyes were drawn to Eva Green because she's Eva Green. Of course your eyes are drawn to her, you know. So the title of the book wasn't what I expected. I expected it to be, of course, the re-release with the movie poster of Eva Green and all the other characters featured on it. But it was actually a girl levitating, and that drew my eyes instantly because I love that kind of abnormal, freakish kind of photography. And you know, you kind of wonder, is it photography? Is it Photoshop? Is it real? Is it not real? You know, you kind of think that. So with that first impression, I read the back of it, was instantly intrigued by it. I wanted to read it. I gave it to my best friend who was with me at the time, and she was like, okay, yeah, I want to read that. So I bought it so that once I finished reading the book, I would hand it over to her so she would read it, and then we would get the next book, which was Hollow City. We didn't realize at the time that there was actually 3 books, Hollow City and then Library of Souls, but we just decided to pick up Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children just to see if we liked it. I loved it. I started reading it on the bus home, and from the bus to bed, I did not put it down. I didn't even put it down to eat dinner. I didn't even eat dinner that night. I was just like, no, I want to read. I want to read on. I have to read this. And I read it in a couple of days. That is unheard of for me, and it captivated me from the first sentence of the prologue to the final sentence of the third book. I could not wait to actually buy the second and third books. As soon as the first book finished, I was straight into the second one. I downloaded it and put it on my iPad, and I was just like, read. If I wasn't working or sleeping, I was reading. And when I was working, I was dreaming about reading. Because I was just like, right, can this shift just be over with so I could just go home and read this? Because I need to know what happened. Can you tell I loved it? Naturally, with loving it that much, I have a few thoughts, and I'm hoping to breeze through this quickly because I literally only have maybe 10 minutes to record this. So let's dive straight into my thoughts. So the first thought that I have was that the writing style was perfect for the story. It grabbed my attention, as I said, from the get-go, literally from the get-go. And Ransom Riggs writes in such a way that he just envelops you. It's written in the first person narrative, so you're getting Jacob's perspective on everything. So he takes you along for the entire ride. You are getting to know what he's thinking as he thinks it. And at times you really do forget that he is an adolescent. You know, he writes in such a way that he's like older. You think that he's older than what he is, and at times you really do forget that he is 16. I love that because, you know, it is geared towards young adults, and like, I'm like 20 in a couple of weeks, and you know, I could hands down say that this is my favourite book. Right now I can say it's a favourite book. Not gonna lie, I've read a fair share of books because I did English literature for university, and I just love this book hands down. In the narrative, there wasn't even a moment where my interest began to wane or get sidetracked. The only part where I think I had to reread it maybe like 4 or 5 times was when they were actually describing what a loop was and what the hollows were and what the whites were. And they're the bad guys if you've not read the book. So I had to read it a couple of times to get the gist of it, but once I did, we were cooking with gas. We were doing it. I should really learn to script things. And as I said, even though it was geared towards young adults, I think it transitioned beautifully into the whole fantasy genre, and it reminded me so much of Sanctuary. If you've never watched Sanctuary before or are not a fan of Amanda Tapping, it is her show that she did after Stargate finished, and it is all about a Victorian doctor called Dr. Helen Magnus, who has this ability to not age. You know, she injected herself with vampire blood, as you do, you know, at university you experiment, except she experimented with vampire blood. No judging, not judging, not judging. And she takes care of abnormals, which are creatures or humans that have abnormal abilities or abnormal features that requires them to have a sanctuary where they are safe and where they are cared for. And this had so many parallels with Sanctuary. I was actually getting really excited because I felt like this is what Sanctuary could have been. Like with Sanctuary, I hated Will. It's no secret. If you know me, you will know that I hated Will. Hate him. I cannot even watch the show anymore because I hated him that much. Not even for my favourite character, Declan McCrae, can I stomach that show. And like, I love Robert Lawrence and I adore him, but no. Will Zimmerman is just no. And even though Jake is literally the same character, he doesn't approach it in such a way that Will did. He like just accepts all of this. At first he obviously thinks all these photographs are photoshopped, and you know, he's like, ugh, that's like such a forgery. He's probably thinking it, you know, from breaking the magician's code, you know, that, oh, you can see the levitation device behind him, you know. And he doesn't whine about it. He doesn't question everything. Like, yes, there's a few questions that he has, but he just gets on with it. He becomes so involved with it that he thinks that he gets a feeling that he belongs there, and you get that exact same feeling as you read it. Like, I felt it. Like, I felt like, oh my god, I belong here. I want to go to Miss Peregrine's school. That is what I loved about it, and like that's why I was like having all these crossovers with Sanctuary and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And Miss Peregrine is Dr. Magnus minus the doctor preface. Helen Magnus and Miss Peregrine have so many similarities. They both defy age, except Magnus doesn't have shape-shifting ability. They both live in old-fashioned style mansions, except one's an island in Wales, the other's in Vancouver. Well, old city, but when you look at a map, you know it's Vancouver. They both have a nemesis that wants to use peculiars for their own malevolent doing. And, fun fact, the Cabal, the word Cabal actually appears in one of the books. And the Cabal are the nemesis in Sanctuary. Crossover a win. There are Sanctuary heads, just like there are loop heads in the Miss Peregrine universe, except they are called Imbrins. I had to look up how to pronounce that, because I am silly, and sometimes I don't know how to pronounce things. Despite the fact I'm Irish. Irish names. Just saying. And there's Miss Finch, there's Miss Avocet, I think I'm pronouncing that right. And they are all birds. Wait a minute. They all are shapeshifters that can turn into birds. Get it? Then the second book is called Hollow City, which made me think of Hollow Earth from season 3 of Sanctuary, I want to say. I really didn't watch season 3 all that much. And I think I wrote down one of the definitions of peculiars in the universe. Peculiars, the hidden branch of any species, human or animal, that is blessed and cursed with supernormal traits. Respected in ancient times, feared and persecuted more recently, peculiars are outcasts who live in shadows. Literally Sanctuary. One of my notes was, I think this is almost like Sanctuary meets Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Yep, that's what my mind does. Another beautiful thing about Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, the book, is that from the front cover, it has the photo of the levitating girl, and everything about it, everything about the Miss Peregrine world was inspired by vintage photographs that Ransom Riggs found in flea markets and bought himself, you know, for like $1 or like 25 cents, and he incorporated all of these into the story. And as you're reading the narrative, you know, you would see a page end, like maybe at the top of the page, and then you'd flip it over and then there's the photograph and you're like, oh wow, yes, that's exactly what I thought. There were times when his writing style was a little bit complicated, like for me, because like, I'm me. And I was like thinking, am I imagining this right? Am I imagining the way that he wants? Because he writes in such a way that, because he writes from a director's point of view, because he went to film school, and he writes as if he's directing it. So I could visualize it really, really well, but there were just some times when I was just having a little bit of difficulty, and then I turned over and was like, oh yeah, I'm actually doing it right. Yay! I need that reassurance in my life. At the end of the book, there's a little interview with Riggs at the end of the first book, and he's saying that some of the photos just demanded to be used. He would just see it and it was like, boom, narrative, and some of them he had to really fight to get to use because whoever owned them wouldn't give up the rights to them, wouldn't sell it to him. You know, he had to like find something else, and like even though the photograph that he used was still perfect, it just wasn't, you know, his idea. And you know, at times you just like have to compromise like that. It's just, the only thing about the photographs is that the ones that he uses for Miss Peregrine are obviously not what I was going to use in my head, because I'd already seen Eva Green as Miss Peregrine. And so when the first photo of Miss Peregrine appeared as a silhouette, I was just like, okay, that's not Miss Peregrine. And then the next one was even more hysterical. But like, it did suit her, but at the same time my mind was like, oh no. No. It's Eva Green. But as I read on in the books, I think my mind kind of went between the two, that I would have that image from the first book that Ransom Riggs provided, and then there were times when she was a bit more badass that I went to Eva Green, because, you know, why not? With my mind, it does what it wants. Favorite character is hands down Miss Peregrine, probably because she's so like Magnus and not like Magnus. She's a protector and she's fierce, and she's also very motherly to all the characters. You know, she would protect them with her own life, but she will be strict with them. There are times when she just like goes to Emma, Miss Bloom, and like she corrects her on her grammar. 100 points to Miss Peregrine. Plus, she can turn into a Peregrine Vulcan. How is that not cool? Like, really, how is that not like the coolest thing ever? He does not want to be a Peregrine Vulcan. I'm imagining it. I'm imagining the talons that I would have, and I would use those to scratch the faces of my enemies. Oh yeah, we're filming. Another thing that I love about Miss Peregrine is that LeFay is part of her surname. Her name is Alma LeFay Peregrine, and I literally died with excitement when I saw LeFay, because I am a big lover of Arthurian legend, and especially I adore Morgan Le Fay, or Morgana Le Fay, whatever your persuasion is, because I used to watch BBC's Merlin and I absolutely adored that show. I loved Katie McGrath as Morgana, and even more Amelia Fox as Morgause. They are my girls. I love them so much. And so when Le Fay was part of her surname, it just made me think of Morgana, and I was just like, oh my god, descendant, they are like related, oh my god. Nerd problems. They're real. Eva Green, Katie McGrath, Morgana Le Fay, and they both played Morgan Le Fay. Eva Green played Morgan Le Fay in Camelot, and Katie McGrath played her Morgana in BBC's Merlin. And I was just like, is this not perfect? This is like the most perfect thing ever. And so I'm really excited about how they're going to portray Miss Peregrine in the movies, because she seems like a total badass to me. More in the Eva Green vision that I have, even with the books. I kind of feel like she has a lot of potential to have these really badass moments where she could really show her potential and her passion for protecting her children, what lengths she will go to. There are clips in the trailers that I have watched, like literally probably all of them, where you know, she has this really badass turn into the Falcon, into her inborn state. And it looks so cool. Except one thing, her clothes went with her. In the book, her clothes don't go with her. Not that it really cares to me, like I don't really care, but it's kind of like, alright, whatever. It was such a cool transition. I think I near screamed when I saw it. Then there's another clip in one of the trailers. It's one of the most prevalent clips where she's saying, promise me one thing, Jake, that you will protect them all. And she doesn't say that in the books. So I'm like wondering, when does this happen? Have they rewritten a lot of it? Like I know they have rewritten a lot of it, which is what my next point is the crossover to the movies, and they've changed quite a lot from what I can tell. Like Emma and Olive's abilities have switched around. Bronwyn and Olive's ages have been switched around so that Bronwyn's one of the youngest and Olive is one of the oldest. Bronwyn still has her strength, but she is like 6 years old. Not like 6, but like 8. And in the books, Olive really depends on Bronwyn. Bronwyn's more like the motherly figure of the group of kids. And so that's why I was like wondering, why did they swap them around? Especially Emma, why did they give her air as a peculiarity when fire is Emma? You read the books and you're like, okay, this is Emma. There's no other way to describe Emma. I was just wondering why they did that and how they're going to rectify it later on if they turn the next books into movies, which I'm assuming they will do. I'm hoping that they will do that. And they've created a role for Samuel L. Jackson that's not in the books at all. So what's the point of that? And there's skeletons in the trailer. They are not in the books. I do not like skeletons. Well, correction, I do not like moving skeletons. No sorry, Bob, no me gusta nada. Another thing in the movies that they've done is that they've gender swapped Dr. Golan around. It is now being played by Allison Janney. Like, I adore Allison Janney, but I was like thinking of somebody else for Dr. Golan. But other than that, the casting of the movie looks phenomenal. Like Eva Green, yes. Judi Dench, yes. Lisa Butterfield, hell yes. And it's just, yes, please just give it to me now. Is it September 30th already? I will say that the plot twist I did figure out quite early on, mostly because I am cynical that way, and I'm like, I'm betting this is what's gonna happen, and it did. Not that I'm complaining, it was still good, but when it actually came down and dropped, I was like cool, but I was kind of expecting it. Sorry. Other than that, it's like still a fabulous book. Although he did get me in the second and third books, I was like, no. So yeah, I'll give you that one, Ransom Riggs. I'll give you that one. The characters themselves all felt very real to me. You didn't feel like they were two-dimensional, or their emotions were like this just because Ransom Riggs made them like this. You know, they are teenagers, but they're trapped in like 80-year-old. They're like 80-year-olds trapped in like teenagers' bodies, but with the hormones of 16-year-olds and lower, if that makes any sense. Can you imagine that? Seriously, stuck at like puberty. God. They all have their frustrations and their angers and their anxieties and their loves and their likes, and you know, they're all cheeky, they're all mischievous, they're all figuring themselves out, but within a loop. Like, the books are about 400 odd pages long, 400 to 500 odd pages long, and there's so much to put into something that thick, but I never felt cheated out of their backstory. You do learn a lot about the characters. I felt like I learned a lot about the characters. I personally would have loved to have learned a lot more about Miss Peregrine, but I'll leave that to Ransom Riggs to do that, and maybe another book. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But as I said, we're finding out everything as Jacob finds out everything. You know, in If it was in maybe a third person narrative, we would have found out a lot more. But since Jake is the one asking the questions and getting all of the information, it's very much organic in that sense that it's a natural progression. It's the way it works, and you know, you're not going to sit down with somebody and just ask them 50 billion questions. Or at least you shouldn't. Because that's like rude, I want to say. That is the end of the video, thank God. I'm sure you're saying, because this girl rambles. I know, I'm sorry. I'm getting used to this. I'm not used to this talking to the camera thing. I'm used to just like doing my makeup in front of it and then just doing a voiceover at the end, so bear with me. I'll hopefully get better at it, so prayers. So those are my thoughts on Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I am so excited for the movie. I cannot wait. I'm counting down the days to September 30th, which is shortly after my birthday, so I'm just like, yes, I get my birthday and then I get that. I'm going to be a very happy fangirl. Yes sirree. Thank you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I hope you had fun. If you're new, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you along. Happy Loop Day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys. It's Loop Day.
So thank you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. If you would like to, please subscribe to my channel. So I hate doing this part. I'm useless at this part.